Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's PDC. So, the topic today is embrace challenge and grow yourself with S curve of learning. If you all remember, some of you, I had done a similar topic. I think it was in October 2019, where I just introduced what is an S curve and to understand what is it. So while I was going through it again, I found a new perspective which actually helped me to have a better understanding of it, and I thought it will be a good idea to share it with you all as a PDC, because it has deep meaning where we can where it actually, and I could relate while I was reading about it, I could actually relate it to one of the SJ culture points, which is embrace challenge and grow yourself. So that's why I set the title in this manner. So I'll cover up first what is exactly an S curve in the first few slides, and then I will cover up the new part, since we have some new members also who may have joined. So to begin with the S curve of learning, so if you see this picture, it is an S curve, and there are three sections to it. One is the inexperience section, then the engagement section, and the mastery section. So let's understand each of it. So to begin with, so let's start with the bottom of the curve. So the S curve of learning is the S curve can be related to many things in terms of product life cycle also. But here in this PDC, we are only talking about S curve of learning. So in this the bottom of the curve, which is the inexperience part, it actually indicates that we are learning some new skill, and or we have just got a new job and we are learning some processes of the company, and maybe we are in the onboarding stage. Like you have this SJ University period of 60 days, so we can consider that as the bottom of the curve. So in this bottom of the curve, we are learning new things, and our learning is slower. That means we are doing it step by step, and the learning curve is gradually increasing in the first part of the bottom of the curve. Now, as we keep learning, we come to the middle of the curve. So the middle of the curve, if you see, it has a very steep growth. Okay, what it actually indicates is we already have understood the fundamentals, or we have understood maybe the basic processes of how things are working, and now we are ready to unleash ourselves, in the sense we are able to work on new projects or whatever tasks are assigned to us. And in this phase, our growth actually, or our progress actually increases, grows very fast. And we that is why this curve is very steeply going on the higher level. And in this period, because we have completed the initial part of learning, and we have started implementing sort of what we have learned, there is a lot of joy within us, there's a lot of confidence within us, and we are passionate about what we are doing, and we are actually doing our best in this period. So that's why that's why this part of the middle part of the S curve is actually called as a sweet spot. So we are very happy during this period of the middle of the curve. Now if we go to the next one, as we reach this level, that is to the top of this middle of the curve, we start approaching the top of the curve, which is actually called as the mastery curve. Now once we start reaching this stage, or we have reached this stage, we have already learned enough, and we have already implemented enough. And because of this, what happens is whatever we have learned, in whatever skill we have learned and we have implemented, there may be no learning ahead. So that's why our learning slows down in this case. Okay. And whatever we have learned, we are able to implement it, very fast. We are able to even automate certain things. And at a certain point of time, what it says is the thrill of learning has faded. That means we don't actually look forward to learning something new, or we don't see that, okay, that I have to learn something new. So what the author is saying is that at this point of time, our brain starts producing less of positive neurotransmitters that helps its growth. So once we start having this mindset that, I have learned enough, then these neurotransmitters or the positive neurotransmitters are produced less, and we don't have the urge of learning. That's why it says the thrill of learning has faded. Now, it may happen to few of us, it may not happen to few of us, but most of us when we go through this feeling, at some point of time in this career, we start realizing that we are not growing as well as we are learning something. So it's like, I have reached a point of stagnation. And I'm not, I'm just doing a mechanical kind of work. I know when I come in the morning, I know what I have to do, and I'm following the same routine from morning till evening on a daily basis. So that kind of feeling we start getting. So sometimes we may feel that we have realized it, that we are leading a very monotonous kind of work, or we are doing a monotonous kind of work, and we don't feel the need to do something new. We are satisfied with what we are doing. In some cases we may feel that, no, I'm not feeling good about what I'm doing right now, and I need to shift gears, or I need to do something different. I'm bored of what I'm doing on a daily basis. So these are the two kinds of things that usually happen. And one part which the author is talking about is that when we reach this stage, that is at a mastery level, it sometimes looks very grand or very awesome from the outside to other people, but we may feel different from inside. Okay. So I can very well relate this to my own self, where like before joining SJ Innovation, I was working in a lens manufacturing company where I was leading the IT department, and I worked there for 15 years. So most of the time, like in the initial stages, I can relate it that there was a lot of work that I had to do my own self. And as the work grew, I had to hire different people, like into networking or into hardware or even developers, and even sometimes some support people to do implementation of whatever softwares was developed. So when I reached that stage, I didn't have much work to do, because most of the work was getting done by the others. I was just monitoring, or I was just telling them, okay, what to do next. And I really felt that that stagnation phase, because I had almost reached the top of the curve, and I knew that I was not growing. Now, when I compared myself, or compare myself to what I am today and what I was in the previous job, I felt that there was never a challenge that actually came in front of me, or it was thrown at me. In the sense, like if I just make some points of difference. One is, there was never one-on-one, so I never had a mentor or somebody senior who used to talk on a weekly basis or bi-weekly basis to understand, okay, what I can do next in my career. okay, or what issues I had. So that was never discussed. That was point number one. Second is there was no reading. Reading was practically, I would say, nil. I did get some books, but it did not really help because maybe I chose the wrong books. And compared to like in SJ Innovation, we have like specific books which were told to me to read to start off with, and it helped me. So this is another part where I started learning new business processes, how things work, what is right, what is wrong. So this is what I learned. So there was this difference, and I felt that the 15 years that I spent was actually not really productive, or at some point of time I felt it was a waste. But I'm really happy that at SJ Innovation we are getting this daily challenge, and I'm getting this daily challenge of learning new things or reading new things. I'm able to speak to somebody about a point where I have reached this mastery level. Okay, what should I do next? So delegation is something which we should always look for when we start reaching this mastery curve. So this is something which I felt. So when I actually headed the IT department there in my previous job, it felt, from outside to somebody, it looked very nice. Okay, I'm having a good job, a very good designation. But from inside, I felt all this feeling that I'm not growing. I've reached a stage of stagnation. And this is the mastery level, or the feeling that we feel sometimes. Now, what we should do when we start feeling this way? So it's not the end of the world. So if I go to the next curve over here, this is something new which I learned in the recent article which I included in this presentation. So should we fail to jump on the new curves? That means, should I stop learning at a particular stage, or when I should start learning new things? So if you see, these are three different S curves which are overlapping each other. One is the orange one, the blue one, and the light blue one. So so from here to here, this part is the bottom of the curve. From here to here is the middle of the curve, and this is the top of the curve. So if you see this first part, what it says over here in the bottom of the curve, it says find hacks to accelerate your early learning. That means we should do our best to learn whatever we can at this particular stage when we are learning something new. Not just focus on what is given to us, but be more inquisitive about learning new things apart from what is given to us in hand. And this middle curve, what it talks about is we start developing the new skills way in advance of sorry, this is talking about the intersection. So I'll just explain this now. The meaning of this, if you see these three, each of these curves are intersected at one particular point. So this is one point here, then this is one point here. Okay, now this intersection is right before we have reached the top of the master or beginning of the mastery curve. So what it indicates over here is that we should start developing new skills just before we reach a mastery stage. So our new learning curve of learning a new skill, whether it is a technical skill or a soft skill, it should start from the point just before we reach the mastery. So it says start developing new skills way in advance of plateauing on your existing ones. So before it starts flattening this curve, we must start learning or take up a new skill. And another point it says over here is that we shouldn't be afraid. Sometimes we have this feeling that I have learned enough, and I have gained enough knowledge where I can sustain for maybe a few years in the coming years. But and we don't think about learning something new, or there is nobody who is telling us that, okay, you should start learning this new skill at this point. So it says that do not be afraid. It takes courage to jump from one curve to the next. So staying in the comfort zone is easy, but greatness happens when you escape from it. So as I mentioned in the previous slide, like once we reach the mastery level, we sometimes will feel that comfort zone, and we may feel very easy, living life, that I have I'm settled now. But the it says that if we remain at that stage for a very long time, it will hurt us very badly. And it says we have to escape that comfort zone, we have to move out of that comfort zone. So to explain more about what this slide is about, the new picture which I have explained. So it says disrupt yourself. So the same author actually had written a book called Disrupt Yourself. Now I have put this hour in bracket because it means even I have to disrupt myself. So disrupt myself means I have to move out of my comfort zone, means I have to force myself to move out of that comfort zone. So should we fail to jump new curves? The answer is no. We have to keep learning at whatever stage we are, or at whatever stage of career we are. And the only way to break the pause of growth is to disrupt ourselves. And as I mentioned, that sometimes when we are in that comfort zone, we may not really feel the need to learn something new, but it says that we have to push ourselves to master a new skill, or somebody or we should always have a mentor, or we should always have a guide who will identify and tell. Sometimes maybe the guide or mentor may not tell you, but if we have identified something that I need to learn, we must always communicate it to the guide or a mentor whom we are having, and discuss about it whether this is the right path or no. Then they can guide us. So one is we start mastering a new skill, or we say that, okay, I need to take a new role, or I need to jump to a new role to take more new challenges. New role is maybe some new designation, or some shift of job, or whatever. And other one is taking new challenges within the current role. So maybe I'm doing a lot in my current role, but can I do something else? Sometimes as I mentioned, sometimes when we are doing the same thing over and over again, we are not really happy, or we are not really passionate about what we are doing. But if we start including some additional responsibilities, maybe some part we delegate to somebody else, and we take another new one, then the focus changes. So we have started a new S curve. So that puts us to a new S curves, and we start learning new things once again. So like as I mentioned, sometimes we may feel like, why we have to go back to the base of the mountain when we have already reached the top. But as I explained, that it may come either from within us or from outside. And one beautiful thing which was there in the article, I thought of putting it down over here. And I really felt that the previous job, I made mistakes. I did not know about the S curve, and I didn't have a mentor in my life who would guide me. But I felt this is very important statement, and I felt that I should share it with all of you. So I'm reading it as it was there in the article. It says that it's important to note that we don't have to take a new job to get on a new S curve. That means I made that mistake. So I felt this point of stagnation, and I started hunting for a job, and I did that for a very long time, for almost 4 to 5 years, and I landed up in SJ Innovation. So sometimes we shouldn't, make that mistake, or just because I have reached a saturation level, I should look out for a new job. I mean, that is a wrong approach. So what it says, this growth can just as easily come from a new challenge within the existing role. So start a new curve, just as we approach the mastery, and such a new team, or like such as a new team to manage, or a new product to launch, or a new market to enter. So we may find different things which helps us in a different way. Like we each of us are in different fields, so a new skill which may be not listed over here can help us to start a new S curve. So so the whole idea of this slide is that if we must start identifying our S curves, that at what skill where I am, whether I am in this whether I'm in the inexperience, or whether I'm at the middle of the curve, or whether I'm almost approaching the mastery. So depending on which level I am, we should start talking to our one-on-one managers, or even some external guide if we may be having, to understand more what I could learn to start a new S curve. Okay, so that is all about this presentation, and I actually took this slide details from these two articles which I have put towards the end. So please read through these articles also, so that you all understand better.